Hi guys, so this video here is taken from a full course on building a track from scratch in Logic. You'll be able to watch all of the Logic related videos for the course on YouTube. There will be a link to the playlist below for you. But in this course, we're basically building this whole track from scratch. If you want to follow along with that, you can. And if you want to download the project file and all the samples that go with the course, there's a link to that in the description as well. I hope this video is useful to you and that you're able to follow along with the course. Let's jump into it.
Feeling heavy, but now I'm steady, going up from hitting the ground.
Okay, so let's try and build ourselves a bass sound in Alchemy. So we reset Alchemy, and what we can do is just click on A here, and we're just going to work off of using the saw. What we might do is try just bump it up so we've got 2 of that oscillator. And we're going to ever so slightly detune them. I'm going to take the pitch down an octave as well. What we need to do is put a low pass on it. Now, it doesn't matter massively what low pass you use, to be honest, but there's some different flavors in here and they do give some different feels. Something quite sharp is going to be quite useful for this. So we could do like the edgy 24 dB. Bring that right back. Now on the cutoff, we just right click, let's add modulation, add an LFO to it. It gives us our LFO down here. We want to set up some details for it. So it's got sync on by default, so it's 1/4 at the minute. And the depth of how much it's controlled is set just over here. And you'll see it introduces this orange line around our cutoff up here. We're going to go slower than that. Dial it back a bit further. Okay, so that's working a bit for us. Bit of resonance maybe. Put it back a bit further. And I'm just going to use the drive on the filter as well. Now, as a behavior, I don't want the note to keep triggering. So at the minute, right, each time a new note happens, it restarts. I want that to be more fluid and move into itself. There's 2 things that we're going to do. I'm going to grab all of the notes, zoom in, and just make it so they overlap just the tiniest amount. Then we need to change some behavior in Alchemy so that they all flow together. So if we go back over into global and in our voices, instead of always, we're going to do legato and see how that works for us. We might need to change our times and things. Yeah, so let's give it a little bit of a glide percent as well. Cool. So now instead of triggering each time on each note, it just kind of moves up and down with everything and glides into one another. Now, do I prefer this really slow pulsing or do we want it to go 1/4? maybe dial it back a bit. Probably something we could automate and play around with in different sections. Something I have noticed is the notes in the piano are sticking out a little bit for me. So I'm just going to go in here. I'm going to grab all of the high notes like this. I'm just going to switch the automation lane on here, and we're just going to pull the velocity down a bit for them. And while they're all selected as well, I'm going to go into functions, MIDI transform, humanize. I'm going to turn all the random off, but I want the velocity to fluctuate just a little bit as well. So we get something like that. So now they're all going to be ever so slightly different and a little bit lower. Alright, so let's see from the breakdown here how everything flows together now. Remember, I'm looking to have some vocals start around here, build up here, and then go into like a main verse here. So we're leaving space for that, knowing we're going to make a vocal track here. Okay, so one thing I totally noticed was around here, the drums and the build up. It doesn't really build to anything. So I'm thinking what we could maybe do instead is build up to here and then just leave a little pause. Move the automation with that. We're going to bring you back and we're going to mute these 3 drum hits, right? Like this. Just go over to the inspector and just mute those. So instead now it should build up there just to the slightest pause, which is just something a little bit different than just rolling the drums right through. It gives us space to perhaps the little reverse crash as well as an extra build. And we want something just to sort of signify that we've landed as well. So we'll even try popping the crash in there. That doesn't work too well for me, but we need to find something that gives us a nice little landing in there. I am wondering if the bass could actually come up. Kind of like that actually, so bringing the bass up an octave instead, but we might be losing the sub, but it's a way we can fix that in Alchemy really easy. So I'm just bringing up an EQ just to have a quick look at what's going on. Okay, so there's no sub now, bringing it up an octave. So what we can do to remedy that, because I prefer that sound, bringing it up the octave, we'll switch on oscillator B, we'll go to load VA, basic and sine, and what we'll do, we'll then bring this sine down 1 octave, and that should fill our subspace. So we've still got all the weight there that way, and I prefer that actual resound. So let's save that so we know the patch for you guys. And we're going to rename this just here. So when we choose it up here in the inspector where it says region, we can always rename. We can always rename up here. So we'll just call it Reese, and we'll recolor it as well. And our bases are going to be purple in this. And remember, like before, our channel is now not going to be colored the same. So while it's selected, we can always go functions and name tracks by region name, and color track by region color as well, and they'll match like that. So I like that little section. We're going to copy that out, and last thing I'm going to try just here is actually using this section that we had right in the intro and see if we can make use of it again over here. There's something slightly different across that verse section. Let's try it out. So because of the automation that we had on here, we don't really hear it. So we're going to bring the filter off and maybe filter it out instead. We'll just loop this section to listen over again. I think it's fair to say that that just doesn't work there. But we definitely need to build something else into this next section. So in the next video, let's work out what we're going to do there. And then we're going to build one more section, and then we're going to get a rough balance and send it out to our vocalist, get the vocals back, and continue working on it from there.